Clock. Hereby call this meeting of the Londonderry Heritage Commission to order this 17th day of November 2022. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our prior meeting. John, I did look these over, and the only thing I saw in there was in the commissioners were present part in the beginning. My name is just misspelled.
Okay, okay. What is the correct spelling?
Krys. Any other corrections?
No, I think everything I had, I passed along to John, so he was right on it.
Okay, if we could get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we adopt and approve the minutes of September 22nd, 2022, as presented and amended for the spelling.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Minutes approved. Next item is we have a presentation by David Ellis regarding the Appleway corridor changes.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Ellis.
The Londonderry Appleway Management Plan, the document is really two parts. The main body of the document is the management plan itself. The appendix is a list of the places that could be visited on this trip. At an earlier meeting, I had pointed out some errors with some things in the appendix. Tonight, I was going to run through what I recommend should be changed. You should be seeing that on your screen. The body of the document, the changes are very, very few. They are mainly housekeeping things. The first one is the date would need to be updated. And I recommend adding a note at the bottom that says it was updated in 2022.
Okay.
If we go on to the introduction. In the introduction, there's the history of previous updates. I suggest you add another one that says a further update was implemented in 2022 to correct and include additional historical information.
Okay.
That's essential.
If we go on now to table 1, that's quite a bit further on, I think, Laura.
Do you know what page number?
Page 11. This is a table that will be coming up that correlates with the points that are described in the appendix. So if you make a change in the appendix, you really have to update the cross-references here. Now, I shall talk very briefly about the actual physical changes when we get to the appendix. But it affects item 7, which is a new item that needs to go in because you're talking about Bear Meadow Farm in item 9, and Herd Store, which is originally referred to as Jackson Hall, but that reference was incorrect. It is not Jackson Hall that's pictured, it's Herd Store. Jackson Hall, unfortunately, no longer exists. A little further down the table there, item 16, I suggest that we change it from Town Forest to the Kent Allen Forest, consistent with the... Oh, I didn't mark it for some reason on that copy, I'm sorry. Item 16 there. Change a name.
Okay.
The next one is item 33. Further down in that table. Whoop, a little too far. There we go. Previously, it was describing Gilchrist Road as being north of Mammoth Road. It's actually north of Route 102. I suggest we fix that. And obviously the map, which is shown there, this is a copy of the map from the appendix. If you're making changes to the numbering, then you've got to update the numbers on the map. If we can now go to page 20. This is a record of all the changes that have been made to the document, and obviously if we're making a change, it needs to be added at the end of the list. And I'm recommending putting in that last line. On page 22, a little further down, the website that used to be in there was out of date. It needs to be updated.
Okay.
I think the next point is on page 24. What had happened there on the earlier document, someone has obviously pulled some information from a boilerplate, and they were talking about creating a picnic area beside the river. There is no river anywhere in the vicinity of this, so I would recommend that you remove that statement.
We got a few brooks, but no rivers.
If we now move on to Appendix A, which is where the real work is. I think it would be appropriate to add a title that says that this is the current inventory. The map is changed just below it because some of the numbering has changed on the map. That is the only change. The route itself is the same.
Maybe we should put a date in with the current inventory, so
I'm sorry, Art, I can't hear.
maybe we should put a date in with the current inventory also, so we could say
Inventory as of,
2022.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how about the title just reads current inventory, comma, 2022?
Yep.
perfect.
Were there any other comments earlier that you wanted me to? Okay. If we move down now to item 3 in that. One. Because there are 3 schoolhouses mentioned on this, I recommend adding that this is schoolhouse number 4. It was the original District 4.
Yep.
On to item 7. I'd mentioned the horse farm. Item 9 talked about being Bear Meadow Farm, and I'm recommending that you insert a new item, item 7, this is completely new, that just identifies Bear Meadow off of Adams Road. There's a description there beside it if you want to take a second to read that. As I say, half of it's owned by the town, half's in private ownership. That outline, if you pull up the town GIS any time and take a look at it, you can trace that outline on existing lots. I just highlighted the lot lines. Item 8 is the one that we started all this with. It used to describe Jackson Hall, whereas what you've actually got a picture of there is what was known as Hurd's store in the mid-1800s. George Hurd ran the store. The first store was built by Joseph Batchelder and Samuel Dickey in 1831. I don't know when it went out of business. It was fairly significant. It sat on the old rum trail and was also on the first stagecoach route through town.
Popular place.
Bear Meadow Farm, I have added some information to that, which I think is historically interesting. I believe the house probably dates to about 1736, although it would require someone to do a dendrochronology study to prove it.
But to the best of our knowledge, 1736 is
Yeah, I
in the
think
approximate,
speaking from memory, I believe the property record card gives a date around 1740, but I've found bluntly a number of errors in that property record card collection.
yes. Some of them I don't think are too accurate.
Yeah. I
That's-
could justify that 1736 was when John Thompson Sr. moved there and built a farm. Whether that's his farmhouse, I think it probably is.
More likely than not, I would say that.
The next item is 10, which you can, It was originally stated that James Patterson's farm was started in 1770. It wasn't. It was started in 1732. By 1770, James Patterson had sold and gone on. And I've added a little bit at the bottom there that says when the first home was built. And it was also the site of Josiah Jones's Tavern. The tavern also was long gone, replaced by Maplehurst. There was a minor grammatical change on number 13. I forget what the original was, but it was a one-word change from something to which. When I was doing this, I hadn't previously mentioned these to the commission, so you may want to pay attention to that now. Item 15, the town common. It was originally saying that that was on land that had been owned by Matthew Thornton. It wasn't. Matthew Thornton owned the land the other side of Mammoth Road. So I recommend removing the Matthew Thornton reference from number 15. Change the name of the town forest to the Kent Allen Forest. And you can add I put in a short sentence about Kent, which I felt was appropriate. Item 17, the Grange. That would be an appropriate place to say that that was on land that was owned by Matthew Thornton. The next one is the Lions Hall, where I have added a bit of information about when that property was built. It was built in 1770, and you can prove that date exactly. It was originally located a little southeasterly from District 1 Schoolhouse, which is location 30 on this tour. The next change, item 29. You had a date on item 29 that was completely bogus, said it was built in 1730. There was nothing on that land anywhere in 1730. It was a third division grant. I've said the late 1700s. I personally believe it was built in 1807, but it's a twin. That house is a twin with the Mac property on Mammoth Road. The two properties, if you put them side by side, they're architecturally identical. They're both built at about the same time. Now, Andy Mac Sr. said that the Mac one was built in 1806. In 1807, this property changed hands, the land changed hands from the Wallace family to John Dickey, who was a guy in his 40s, just started a second marriage. He'd been married second time just a year or so before, had the financial backing, and at age 40, to build something this big. So I'm pretty sure that that's when it was built. But as the Mac property is described as the late 1700s, I think you'd say the same thing for this. You're not too far off.
Yeah, probably same builder and everything. Probably the same builder of the,
I suspect it
houses.
probably was. Take a look at them sometime, Art. Put the two pictures up side by side. The houses are identical. They certainly weren't built 70 years apart.
yeah, there's too much of a continuity in design that,
Yeah. Well, those are the changes that I recommend. If you folks agree, if you don't agree, you can let me know. If you do agree, I'll remove that watermark and send a Microsoft Word document to Laura, and she can take it from there.
will be our official update. I think it was designed to, of course, history is designed to be reviewed, and I think if there's a consensus of opinion that this is it, and I know David has talked to Rick Holmes in Derry, and Rick is kind of like the authoritarian of Derry, Londonderry history. But was all once Londonderry anyway, from way back. So. And the town hall, I believe, was used, yes, I think for a while for the Presbyterians. It was the Western Parish. And that eventually became the town of Londonderry once the two towns split.
Yeah.
I would suggest on page 14, if you're going to change it, that you might,
Sorry, David, what did you say?
on page 14,
Page 14, yeah.
I would suggest that you add, after AADT, parentheses, annual average
Hang on a
daily
moment,
trips, parentheses.
trying to find page 14? Oh, no, I don't have that in front of me, I'm afraid. That wasn't one I changed.
Okay, it's current physical conditions, safety and traffic. And you list some numbers there. And you used capital A, capital D, capital T.
Yeah, what do you want to change?
And after the first AADT,
Yeah.
parentheses, annual average daily trips, parentheses.
To explain the,
Explain what it is.
Just because if you pick this up,
Annual.
annual average daily
okay,
trips.
no daily trips.
Yeah, I can add that in, please. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else have any further corrections or additions?
No, I think what we've got presented is quite accurate, and I know David is extremely thorough on his research, so.
Okay.
You're a researcher's researcher, David. Things
I
are
will
well
send-
documented.
I'll send Laura the Microsoft Word document sometime tomorrow. Is email okay for that, Laura, or do you want me to bring a flat,
You can email it.
okay.
That'd be great. And thank you for all your help, David. This is great, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis.
Thank you. You need a motion on that, Chris?
Yeah, we should probably pass.
Okay, I will move that the board is in agreement with David Ellis for the changes, and that we proceed forthwith with the changes as recommended by David, and I think as also amended by David Colglazier, that explains the AADT. Governmental work, there's a lot of acronym, so it's good to explain it, because
That is for the planning department.
have a second on that?
Reference
Mr. Chairman,
to
I'd
these
like to
people if they
amend
want it.
Art's motion to include thanks to David Ellis from the committee for all the work he's done on this. I think a formal thank you would be in line.
I'll second that amendment.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey,
All those opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Amendments approved.
Yeah, that was for the amendment. Now we need to go to the motion, motion as amended, which is the one I made to adopt it.
Okay. So you've made that motion. Do we need that seconded?
I think John seconded.
Yeah, John seconded.
Okay, so all those in favor of the amendments to the document, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, ayes have it. A document approved. And in the form of an official thank you to David Ellis, what exactly were you thinking, John?
I was thinking we'd vote and say thank you.
Okay. Yeah, he's already left, but thank you, David Ellis, obviously, for all the hard work.
I have a question, Laura. The Scenic Byway Committee is rather dated, because I think there's two people on there that, actually three that are deceased, and to update it if anyone else wants to, we can see. I don't know what there is for current membership or anything. This originally was put together by Peter Lowett, probably in the vicinity of 20-odd years ago. So if it's something we need to do, we can do it. You know. I don't think there's any demand, because it will always come to the Heritage Commission anyway.
All right. Moving on to our formal review applications. First item on the agenda is an application for design review of a site plan for 130 townhouses and associated site improvements at 71 Perkins Road, 171 Rockingham Road, 175 Rockingham Road, and 191 Rockingham Road. Gene Gagnon, owner and applicant.
Good evening. My name's Jason Lopez, Keach Nordstrom Associates, and I am here this evening with Gene Gagnon. We are number 1 and 2 on the agenda, and they both kind of intertwine a little bit, or quite a bit. Number 1 is, I believe, on the agenda is the site plan. Number 2 is subdivision and lot consolidation. So I'm going to talk about both and start with the lot line adjustments, consolidation, subdivision first, because that's the basis of creating the lots that we will have for the site plan. So first, Vista Ridge, 93 exit 5, across from the Park and Ride. Vista Ridge heads up. There's existing multi-story apartment buildings, or condos, I guess they're condominiumized now. Vacant property on both the east and west side of Vista Drive. So he has, Gene owns 5 parcels of land. The total acreage is 46 acres. We're looking to take all 5 parcels, do some consolidation, lot line adjustments, re-subdivision, and create 4 lots. Then we have the land on the west, land on the east, hence the name Vista West and Vista East. So with the adjustment of the lot lines, this property sits in the MUC, so the Mixed Use Commercial District. That is intended for a project with both residential and commercial use. Gene is a residential builder, not a commercial builder. So about a year ago, we met with the planning board on a conceptual basis to discuss this project. You know, I think in the early planning process of this district was the idea of first floor commercial use, second and third floor, you know, apartments or, you know, townhome style. To put commercial on the first floor, he doesn't want to manage the commercial aspect and also try to get commercial sold on the bottom of residential units. So we talked to the planning board about separating the commercial use. So we're going to create a lot out on Rockingham Road, about 3.5 acres. We've just met with the Conservation Commission. They asked for a slight adjustment, so there'll be a slight adjustment in the size of that lot based on the wetland locations. But we'll create a lot out front, right along Rockingham. He's going to market that, and it's going to be distinguished as commercial only. He's not going to develop that. See who wants it and when it becomes developed. Also, part of the conversation with the planning board was a concern over the density. When we presented to them, we had 149 units. So we went in with no commercial. We added in the commercial lot, so that removed a little bit of land. We're also looking at removing a lot over off of Perkins. So today, we have on the west side a larger piece and one right on the corner of Vista and Rockingham. Then there's 2 small commercial, they're MUC, but at one point, there was gonna be a fast food restaurant on this corner. In another, this was an old trailer, mobile home. And then the larger piece of property. So what we're proposing is to consolidate the 2 to do Vista West, then create that commercial piece on Rockingham. And then we're gonna create an out parcel that fronts over on Perkins and Vista. And that, Gene's gonna hold on to that for future development. There was discussions whether or not we're going to incorporate that into this project. At this time, we're not going to. It's over, separated. It's gonna create additional work with traffic and so forth. So we're gonna leave that separated. That's not gonna be part of the project. So now that will leave us, after the subdivision and adjustments, 2 larger parcels that we'll develop. Vista West will have 62 townhomes, and Vista East will have 68 townhomes. So on this, so what he's proposing is a kind of a conventional wood frame building. It's gonna have, you know, multiple shapes, slopes, peaks, and so forth on the roof. You know, mixed between clapboards and shingles. You know, this is gonna be, you standard, the homes you see around town, single-family homes that are being built. It's going to be, you know, a vinyl side product, earth tones, natural tones. You know, this here is showing 3 stories high. But what we're gonna have, as we drive up Vista, we're going to have one side of that building will reveal the two floors, the two upper floors. And then as you come down these little side roads, you'll drive around out back, and there'll be drive-unders on the back. So as you're driving up Vista, it's gonna have the appearance of two floors with the roof. Come around out back, it'll be three floors high. The buildings that sit out away from Vista, kind of shielded by these other buildings, those will be 3 stories. You'll drive under, you'll have your basement, garage, and then your living space is up on essentially what would be, the second and third floor at that point. Up here on Vista West, these here will all be the same thing, drive right in. So it's gonna have the appearance of both sides of being 3 stories high. On the upper side, because if any of you are familiar with this property, there's quite a grade out here. So on the back side, not that anyone's gonna see it, but we'll have 2 stories revealed here. So people will be able to walk out their first floor onto a little patio out in the back. Again, all drive under. So very, I think a very good representation of the architectural style you're looking for in town. This is townhomes, not big garden-style flats. With standard conventional shingles and building material appearances. So, we can address a little more on that building in a minute. This is water and sewer and gas. Lighting, we're not proposing any street lights through here. Every unit is required to have light, egress light by the front door. And any other side doors. We'll have whatever's required by code for that, and something up over the garage for the parking spaces. Each unit is gonna have 2 parking spaces in front of the unit itself. We do have a little overflow parking lot, one for each side, east and west. Somewhere around 15 spaces, I believe it is, for east and 10 or so for west. But no streetlights or anything proposed along the internal drives. Then we have a landscape plan. The last few pages, there are the landscape drawings. Staff has gone through the first design review on this, and there's comments on how we meet our calculations. We got to go back and revisit the calculations and whether or not we have enough in between the parking spaces and so forth. So there's probably gonna be some modifications to the landscape plan. Overall, though, we are going to try to retain as much as we can out along Rockingham Road. We have out behind these units, in between the units and Rockingham Road, we've got a detention, stormwater, and, treatment systems. But beyond that, leave that all vegetated. This here, will have a little bit of a vegetated buffer, but this is all open space, part of these apartment or condos, however, that legal structure is there. And again, we've got a large wetland complex here, so a lot of treed space is gonna be maintained in this area. And we'll have what we can retain, but a lot of the stuff out there today was cleared years ago. There's a lot of scrub brush. If something can be saved, it's worth saving. We'll save along the front. Other than that, we'll have to fill in with some landscape between the buildings and Vista Ridge. Stone walls. We do have a section of stone wall coming up the old property line. And we've called out on the plan for that to be relocated. We're just gonna swing it over at the toe of slope. And we do have a note in our plan set, saying any stone walls that are found the rocks need to be saved and stone wall rebuilt on site. So with that, I think I've covered the main points, I guess, of both hearing 1 and 2. Can take more specific questions on details you're maybe interested in.
You had mentioned the building materials. You talked about shingles. I'm assuming when you say traditional, you mean asphalt.
Actually, getting into the actual building materials, I'll ask Gene to come up.
please just introduce yourself and state your address, please.
No, introduce yourself and
Oh,
then,
Gene Gagnon from Chester, New Hampshire. So, and I'm a builder with the Gemco Builder, and I'm sure a lot of people, most people knows my name in Londonderry. Been in here for about 50 years, so
Gene's well-known and has built a lot of houses in town, so.
I have a very hard time to hear. Even so, I have.
Okay, I just paid a compliment because you've been, well, I think a resident for part of it, but also you've been, built many houses in
Yes,
Londonderry.
yes,
so
I built
you're-
many houses in Londonderry, Manchester, and a lot of town, Derry, Raymond, Chester. I'm building in Chester right now. Northfield, Concord. I've done quite a bit.
Keep on going.
so what they're interested in, Gene, is the type of building materials you're gonna use on, shingles
Well,
and
it's, yeah,
siding.
regular
If you can
regular
explain,
construction, like house construction, and with vinyl siding and like the picture, like, the what it shows on what I have. The architect done a rendering on that. It's like 2 and 3 bedroom, and it's all regular construction, all wood construction, 2x6 wall and roof asphalt shingle, vinyl siding, and then the fancy stuff on the outside. Then you get the shake and the regular shake, and like I had, that shows some of the shake that we use on part of it. But this one here would be those shapes like this here on the one end and also on the gable end. And then the rest would be vinyl siding, just a regular vinyl, regular vinyl siding.
Are those the colors, the
Well,
specific
those are
colors?
different colors. All the colors are here, but I haven't really get into colors, so I'm not sure what color that's gonna go. But we try to pick a light color and, decent color.
Yeah, we favor earth tones, so.
yeah, it's gonna be a neutral,
We favor earth tones. I think you do also, so.
neutral earth tones.
The what?
Neutral earth tones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question,
Mr. Butler?
just so you guys, on that front page there, where they show the 3 lots in red, that corner lot to the west, which is 2.1 acres, that's pretty much a ledge to be built on. And it looks like where he has the other 2 lots, that's under 2 acres, so, Mr. Gagnon's gaining maybe an acre on that portion of it, which I don't have a problem with. My concerns are Vista Ridge. As you drive up Vista Ridge and around Vista Ridge, the townhouses on the east side, you're gonna see the back of those houses. So I'd like to see what the renderings are for the back of those houses for a scenic view. And I'd also like to see the landscaping. Because on Gilchrist Road, if you remember, part of that Woodmont property, we see the back of those houses, but a lot of them have fencing. And it looks as though some type of agreement was made that the same fencing, if you're gonna put it up, is continuous and it's the same. so you don't see a collage of stuff.
Yeah, because I wonder if that's in the association that's there, that,
I assume that it probably is. The other thing too is, at one point, I would like to see the colors, the actual colors and materials of what Mr. Gagnon's asking for, because we have to make a recommendation to the planning board. And I would also recommend that our recommendations are put on the site plans, or put on the plans that clearly state what Mr. Gagnon's gonna do, which is fine, as it moves to the planning board. And if that's approved, those elevations are signed off as part of the sign-off sheets the builder has to provide. So there's
no questions.
there's no questions. I've had this happen before. I'm sure you guys know about it, and I don't want to see it again. I want to see exactly what we're going to get.
That was more or less what I was getting at with the questions about the colors, because I didn't see any renderings in the
No,
drawings.
I haven't,
with
which is
colors in it.
fine. I mean, it's early, but I think that G needs to come back here and clarify those for us. And also on the recommendation that we move it to the planning board, that our recommendation is those colors that Mr. Gagnon presents, and everything he presents goes on those plans, and those are part of the plans that are signed by the planning department. It's a recommendation, but I think what that'll do is will end some of the stuff that's changed. That's my opinion. But the design is great, you know, I don't have a problem with it. Mr. Gagnon, on that property that is on Vista Ridge in Perkins, is that a well? Is that a pump station?
Well, the pump station, yeah, there is a pump, it's a pump station.
Is it a pump station for the town?
It's a,
or
it's
No,
a booster.
The booster, yeah.
It's a booster
Yeah,
for
they-
for
For
the-
Manchester?
Manchester Water Works owns that.
Oh, okay.
But they own the property that I own.
Yeah, the only reason why I say that is what happens if they have to increase the size of that booster? Are they gonna be able to do it, or is there
I-
gonna be a restriction?
Uh,
That's my
I've-
concern,
I-
water.
I've started working with Manchester Water Works.
Okay.
That's still to be determined.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
on fire, you know, the requirements for fire suppression and, you know,
Okay.
and so forth. So,
Understood.
ongoing.
Thank you.
Are there any walking trails for people to walk, or especially to be able to walk from, you know, the townhouses to, let's say, something that's in the commercial area for food or, you know?
Just internal sidewalks along the drives. We've done that on both sides.
Oh, okay.
You know, so we've got sidewalk on the internal coming all along. We come up and it connects in. VHB was doing our traffic study on this. We worked with them. It was quite extensive. 13 intersections with DOT and Department of Public Works here in town. So we were looking at connectivity between these two properties also, because we got a sidewalk coming up and around the cul-de-sac. The problem is in order to conform to crosswalk requirements, no more than 2% grade in any direction. Well, this road's already too steep. So our only solution to meet regulation is we're taking that sidewalk, and then we're gonna continue that sidewalk all the way down to the crosswalks. So we're now gonna have sidewalk on both sides of Vista. So these folks will be able to get down to the lights, same thing, down to the lights. And then there's the light controls for pedestrian crossing. And then if this is ever developed, you know, they're gonna be forced through DOT and also, I'm sure, the planning process for access off of Vista. So, you know, they would have to incorporate some sort of sidewalk up into the commercial development there. So we do have some connectivity, And these folks are all connected already with a sidewalk going down the west side.
I know when we had the first proposal that come in there, this probably is 5, 6 years ago, there was gonna be a walking connector between, the properties that, but on Rockingham Road, so people could, walk down, even from Vista Ridge, condos, they could walk down. And I think it would be a series of stairs, but that was back then, so. There is a fairly good slope there, I know. It's not easiest of properties to deal with.
You're talking about having a few walkways going through the property. I also see there's a parking area in your landscape plan. It looks like a kind of an area just for overflow parking.
Yeah, we're required under the regulations to have 2 parking spaces per unit.
Yeah.
We've got 2 outdoor spaces, plus they got the garage space, so 3 right at the unit. But we still are providing some overflow for visitors or whatever, and some overflow here on the east side. So it's just some additional parking for,
So with the lot parking and some of the walkways going around the property, you had been talking earlier about lighting. And I apologize if I missed this, but do you have overhead lighting in any of those areas?
no, we do not. And that's gonna be a conversation with planning also, potentially a waiver, or, I don't know, maybe that won't be recommended. We're kind of ongoing right now with staff. Have a meeting next week to talk about the first set of design review comments.
Okay.
Any signage involved?
Actually, I haven't signage for the development itself.
Well, haven't even discussed it. I don't know. Sure, we
See
should
if they
have
come back,
signage.
right, with the colors and.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, that'll be one of our requests when you come back. It's for any signage.
Yep.
We need a signage plan.
There's a space over the doors, the entry doors, that white area, is that a sloped roof there?
Yes.
Okay. So how far back do they set as far as you've got the small shingles and the clapboards, but they're not in the same plane?
Might be easiest. So,
Yeah, okay. I don't have that sheet.
no,
Okay.
Gene got that, and brought that this evening, so we'll have to
What
include
is
they don't have these parts of the image. All I had was the
Oh, you didn't have
elevation. Yeah, yeah.
What does your water runoff look like from the roof? I can't tell where you're gonna have gutters or not.
Well, I'll need to talk to Gene on that. But, drainage calculations are just assuming the water is heading to certain, basin
But you are gonna
structures.
have a
But
gutter?
how he is gonna handle and get that water off the roof and onto the ground, I haven't discussed that with him.
I haven't
Yeah.
thought about
But
it.
you would have a gutter system.
Yeah, he was just saying he hasn't thought
I
about
haven't
that yet.
even
Okay.
given any thought, so.
I'm just thinking that's more vertical lines in your design. Particularly for the amount of surface area you're draining from the roof. Is there an attic space over these that are, is connected?
I would imagine, I'm
Attic space? No.
yeah, attic space. I would imagine it
be
wouldn't be
a-
connected, just because of fire.
Right.
You need the
okay.
fire breaks between units.
So it's gonna be an empty space up there,
There'll
not,
be an empty
not a
roof,
useful
and,
space.
The storage will be on the first, lower level anyway, on the first floor, so.
So it's just an empty space with trusses and insulation.
Exactly, well, the firewall, each unit has to have a firewall all the way up to the roof, so.
Okay.
Bigger question on the, in the rendering, the lower sash has no fenestrations, and the upper ones do, or is that just this illustration, it's not how it's actually gonna be? So the upper sash and lower sash will be the same in the windows?
They're gonna have the grill in the upper and the lower on the windows?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, they don't show it in there, but they will be.
I know some windows come that way, whether that's the design or not, but at least, you know, I look at it as the consistency, so there's a, you know, like a uniform design.
And it's probably gonna be also shutters on that. If there's room, if there's not,
On the back sides, are there gonna be decks or is there gonna be a walkout to the back of each?
It's gonna have to be a walkout because of setbacks along Vista. So, you know, grading wise and distance, probably a couple steps out down to a flat area, and then whether or not it's a patio or grassed area or whatever, I'll have to talk to them about that, but no decks.
What's your heat source for the units?
well, it should be decks to call it.
Okay, we'll look at that,
I'll
yeah.
have to look at that. It should be decks, no.
The natural gas, we've got gas out there, so it's gonna be natural gas will be,
Okay. You anticipate an outdoor hookup for grills on the back using natural gas?
What now?
natural gas hookup on the backs for grills.
I don't know about that. I don't know about
Doesn't have to, I'm just asking.
I never thought about that, so I can make a note of it, but did they normally do that?
Some do, some don't, so.
Uh-huh.
Some do and some don't.
I don't think I don't think so.
Are there elevations available for the backs?
Can you repeat that, please?
Is there elevation drawings available for the backs of the building?
Not at this time.
I think that's kind of one of the things Jim was getting at, is that we don't have elevations for all four sides.
Yeah.
So we're missing some of the views.
My
That's one of the
biggest
notes.
concern about that is, like I said, we can't control the people that go in there. I get it, not a problem, but it's pretty dense. And the back of the house is usually where you store stuff and you put stuff, and, you know, and my biggest concern is you're driving up Vista Ridge and the existing, you see everything's front, everything's beautiful. And then the possibility of seeing
Backside
an
of-
unsightly
Yeah.
view
Where everybody stores all their
is a
stuff.
real, it's a real concern. And I don't know if this is is this the finished landscape plan that I see here?
At this time, yes.
Oh, okay.
But staff has made comments, so it's gonna be
Yeah, yeah.
revisited.
And what is the setback from the curb to the buildings? Laura, do you know?
Building setbacks?
Yeah, from the curb to the back of the building,
A lot from Vista?
from Vista, yeah.
It's a 60-foot setback, but I'm a little further back than that.
Okay, so, all right, okay.
Yeah, so,
60,
yeah, the buildings are gonna be about 70 feet off,
okay.
because I'm trying to leave about 10 feet or so there for
Yep.
patio and so forth.
Okay.
The setback in that zone varies based on building size. Larger the building, the setback increases. But where
increases.
these are small enough that
Right,
the 60-foot.
good.
You had said that you're gonna be kind of visiting the topic of lighting in some of those public areas with the planning board.
We don't.
You don't plan
wanna
currently,
Put
right?
them, but whether or not we're required,
Yeah.
if our arm is bent, we may.
Yeah, there's specific regulations in the,
Right.
with the site plan, lighting's downcast, and, I think within that, they could probably do things like the design, type of thing is like our discretion, what we
But
recommend.
there'll eventually be a lighting plan, I assume.
Right.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
has to be
Thing that
one.
comes in front of us has a lighting plan.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I'm thinking is, I think the planning board's probably gonna say they need lighting in some of those public spaces, walkways, stuff like that. So, when you come back, we'll be asking for a lighting plan as well.
So are these all rental properties?
It's gonna be a condominium, so the units will be for sale. Now, whether or not, Gene or someone else buys some, owns to rent, but the structure will be a condominium.
You have an HOA planned?
The documents will be put together, we'll work through that process with planning.
And your landscape plan list is for both east and west?
Correct. Yes.
The total plans for both sides, for 62 units and 68 units.
I believe it is,
I can't tell you the sheet number, but correction with
yeah.
Get sheet 48 of
Ms.
70.
Kim Syringa.
Yeah, that is that's the only,
For all
yeah, that's the only.
120 units.
Purple lilac is there.
That's Kim's.
Ms. Kim is the name.
Yes.
And there's 25 of them, I think, 26.
I counted quite a few of them in there. They're kind of dotted around the landscape.
so I understand and I have clarity here. This is ongoing, obviously, and they're going back to design review. They're gonna have to come back to us. So I'm making an assumption, what I see here, about their working drawings, because the landscape plan, in my opinion, isn't complete. So I assume that the next time you come back, I don't want to waste anyone's time, that is all going to be laid out.
That's the request that the commission is making to the applicant.
Okay.
I think everything is still a state of progress, so
Yeah, that's their working drawings, I get it. I don't want to be
yeah.
making a recommendation on drawings that are working drawings. I want to see it.
Right, yeah, 'cause I think they're gonna take what our suggestions are here, go back and then update the.
Certainly hope so.
That'd be my expectation.
Yeah. Well, that's mine too. Just want to make sure we have a clear understanding. I mean, everything looks based on what I see.
Do we have any other questions or comments from commission members? Okay, so I've made some notes. We're gonna ask you guys to come back with material samples, including colors.
Yep.
I have a note on here as to whether or not lighting is needed in walkways and overflow parking that you'll be seeing the planning board about. We will need a lighting plan to make sure that you conform to whatever the planning board recommends, as well as the lighting that you'll be putting above the garages and doorways. We will need a signage plan for any intended signage. Elevations need to be included for all sides of the buildings. And we need to make sure that we have a completed landscape plan when you return.
All right.
The other thing too, I just noticed is on the plans, I know you talked, and thank you very much, I know you talked about the sidewalk coming down and dropping along Vista Ridge on the other side.
Yep.
It just isn't clear on this. I assume that when you come back, that'll be on the plans.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've got more detail on other sheets in the plan set.
And I appreciate that. That's,
Okay.
I think that sidewalk's gonna play an important role.
So on to the next topic, which is the subdivision and lot consolidation plan. The only note that I've made so far is that any existing stone walls need to be rebuilt along property lines if they're disturbed, which you already addressed. Do we have any other considerations or comments from commission members regarding
Is it a lot of wall?
he mentioned there was a small bit of rock wall.
150 feet or so,
Is it possible to
ballparkish.
incorporate that in the main entrance? Where people can
As long as
see
it's
it?
not in the town easement or right away.
Or affecting the sight
Do me a
lines.
favor, just look at it, will you?
Did I say that out loud?
That's okay, you have every right to.
Okay, without any further questions or commentary on that one, I think we can approve this part of it for the subdivision and lot consolidation.
Okay.
It's pretty cut and dry. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Next item on the agenda is application for a design review of subdivision plan for a 21-unit single detached residential development at 22 Young Road and 20 Young Road. Cedar Crest Development owner and applicant.
Give me 2 seconds.
Sure, take your time.
Oh, you have to. Winnie Estates. Where's Winnie come from? Oh.
I brought, I know you guys seem pretty, I'm Aaron Orso at Cedar Crest Development. Just coming in front of you guys tonight to kind of show you what we're thinking for the home designs, along with all the exterior materials. We did a full landscape design by a professional company, Terrain. We did a full lighting design through our electrician, trying to follow within all of Londonderry's requirements. I try to make the houses look as trendy and 2020 as possible. I listed every material on there. I didn't just list them. I'm perfectly fine with moving forward with those. And if there is any stipulations or conditions, those are the materials that I will be using. We do give a variety. I don't think it would be like the last project, where there was just, one main color. These would be owned by individuals, so we would let them pick out their sidings. A little history about us as builders on a project like this. For us to get started, we would go in and obviously do all the infrastructure, get all the roads in. And what we like to try to do is put in, on a 21 lot subdivision, I'd probably try to put in about 5 to 7 foundations, get the frames up, and then start our own, I guess, trend of kind of colors that we would like to use. We are more in favor of earth tones, but as you can see, we do try to kind of bring in some blues and some whites, and calm those things down with the natural wood tones and shutters and stuff like that. We work with designers and try to kind of stay as current as possible. If anyone of you follow us on Instagram or Facebook or DHB Homes, you can kind of see the trends that we follow, we feel fit today's development styles, I guess you could say. I can take you through any questions you guys have on any of the plans. I will probably have another house plan involved as well, but these are kind of the basic styles that we're going with. They're gonna be craftsman-y, farmhouse style designs. And I'll have another house or two, maybe, we modify the homes. Obviously, both of these show farmers' porches. Sometimes we'll keep them, sometimes we won't. We add stone. I brought some kind of samples of the type of stones that we use. And, I wouldn't do a whole front, but definitely like an under the porch or maybe, in a peak or around the garage. We do like to encourage our buyers to make selections on their own so that there is an actual bit of, this is my house, not so much of a cookie cutter type thing. I like people to be able to say, get to the end of the project and go, or the end of the process of building with us and go, I built the house that I love and I'm happy about that, and I was able to make most of the selections, so.
There's gonna be some variability because of the individuals that would buy the house to select, colors and that type of thing. It'll be kind of like treated as a, 1 acre residential housing where, the owner has total,
Yep.
control over what they want. As long as it fits, I guess the overall design, the overall, materials and everything. It's,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna let someone put a yellow house out there. I mean, I obviously am in control of the development. We don't sell off of any of our lots. So I'll be in, you know, in charge from start to finish of the development. And so we have, you know, we'll let people pick their colors, but, you know, there's a variety of colors that, you know, or I guess there would be some colors that I would probably say no to as well.
Yeah, no purples or bright
No
oranges.
purples, unfortunately. Barney houses aren't, you know, in these days, and nor do I think anyone else would want that.
Yeah, and the
next door to
exterior
them.
siding is vinyl? That's-
Yeah, it would be all vinyl siding, a variety of different types. We use Monogram or Main Street through Lansing Building Products. We also use, and I brought some samples in, for board and batten styles. We use this really strong stuff that's called Everlast. It looks really nice. It's a 12-inch.
So the Everlast is vinyl also?
Yeah, it's a vinyl product, so everything is, you know, we try to kind of keep it as maintenance-free. This will be on an HOA, and there will be fees, so that there'll be, I want the whole entire development's landscape to look pristine. And in regards to that, we'll also have some form of like a maintenance to the homes, whether it be power washing and stuff like that, so that the upkeep is there for the future and, you know, it holds values. But same type of thing I use, you know, these are the type of colors that we'd be, you know, kind of exploring, and these are other styles of board and batten. We also, like the last applicant that was here, we do cedar impressions or shake style to kind of stick with that colonial feel. The board and batten has been pretty trendy these days, and it looks really nice. So, I mean, you know, and we try to break it up, and as you can see, you know, we use it mostly in the peaks. There's very few people that would want to do it on the whole entire house, but it's a nice little accent piece. In my shutters, I try to kind of, we do boxed vinyl shutters or a louver, just like everyone else does, but we also try to incorporate even, you know, kind of some woods in there, or, you know, AZAC materials that look like woods, but we've been using a lot more woods these days because the staining on them looks just really cool. It kind of gives you that New England feel. And that would also be something that would be, you know, any of the homes that would be in there, you know, we'd work with the buyers to, or even when we're doing the HOA fee, to have this part of it, like the maintenance fee, where staining and stuff like that would be upkept. Does require a little bit more maintenance, but I think the overall appearance and kind of, you know, getting away from everything just being 100% plastic kind of gives a little bit of a natural feel.
Now, is that a metal roof?
Yeah, we do. We use metal roofs. Asphalt shingles will be mostly used on all the tops of the roofs, on the farmers' porches and stuff like that. Once again, we do like to use sometimes some sorts of accents. I would definitely offer, it wouldn't be a standard, if someone wanted to do a full metal roof, I don't have a problem with that, to be honest with you. I think it looks nice. But most of the time, our metal roofs would be used as an accent over either eyebrows or over the farmers' porches.
And this looks like, it looks like what, asphalt metal, but it looks like asphalt pieces? I've seen that before.
Not really on these. They're more like spaced out with like just kind of like straight lines. It's a less is more.
I think in your two rendering examples, it's actually asphalt up top and then a metal.
Correct.
On the bottom, on the
Yep.
bottom.
Yeah, so the tops of the roofs are asphalt, and both of those will be showing metal roofs on those farmers' porches if you zoom in. And the look of how it looks is exactly how it is. I think the spacing is like 10 inches in between the seams.
Yeah, those are standing seam, right?
Yeah.
I've seen metal roofs that look like regular shingles. You wouldn't even know the difference.
Now I can
They
see
go up and touch it.
Yeah, trust me, I'd love to put them on there. I mean, they're lifetime. It's just, you know, the cost difference between an asphalt roof and, you know, a metal shingle-looking roof is it's literally almost 3 times the cost, so. I'm happy to offer it as an option, but, you know, as a standard feature, it's one of those things that kind of doesn't fit the budget. The windows, I know you guys brought up grids. I let my buyers pick grids. You know, we have a lot of people these days that are doing literally no grids. Sometimes you'll see, like I have shown, 4/1. We've had 1/0. I kind of let the buyer pick what they want to do. We try to keep keep it uniform, like I've said, where the garage grids, the door grids, and the window grids, we try to tie that all in together for that particular house. If the neighbor wants to do no grids or he wants 8 grids, I'm usually open to those types of things. It's not a condominium, like you said earlier, it's
Yeah,
kind of
forget that.
everyone's own single lot.
It's all one unit or something, that's a little different. These are individuals, like the single-family residential housing. So
Yes.
they have, some say over what they want for the building design.
Yep.
But we can't have that wishy-washy-ness, right? I mean, we're gonna okay so many window panes, how many,
Here, I think it's probably, would be a little difficult. On a condo,
Yeah, it's one
I
thing.
think we have, we can request anyway.
Those are personalized details for a freestanding home.
Yeah, because this is a freestanding, it's
Little
like a
different.
single-family residence, so,
I personally don't have a problem with it.
which we don't have any jurisdiction over anyway, so. But this is kind of like in between.
I noticed, I like the common area. And then I noticed there's a couple of walking trails.
Yeah, so I've expressed this when I talked to the town. I've worked within Londonderry and different staff. My feeling on walking trails is half the time they don't get used. So what I tried to do is actually create an entranceway so that there's actually, some drive towards people wanting to use it. I'm gonna put the post and rail fencing, some planting, some uplighting to actually get people to want to use these things. In the park, I want to create this as either a first-time home buyer or your second home in your family. I envision the park and the rec area is kind of where people hang out, and I didn't want to make that area into something that was just kind of cheap and lackluster. What do people enjoy doing? They like having fires, a glass of wine, a beer, or maybe a soda, whatever you want to call it. And this is an area where they can actually congregate and enjoy it. And I would make it, I want to do like a nice pergola. We'll stain that up to kind of tie into the look of this, or go with some maintenance-free AZAC, but it would have a wood tone look. And where you see on the site map, like where, call it 18, 19, 2, and 1, that's a kind of a ridged area, which during my test pits and stuff like that, there was more ledge there. I think that, we will have to do some blasting on this, but I want to incorporate a lot of that rock, and any rock that obviously that we disturb, and kind of create an area that's, I don't know, bordered up, I guess you could say. And, we try to kind of use that, and I want to have a fire pit area. I want to encourage the togetherness of the neighborhood, and that was my whole idea from this project from day one.
So I want to ask you a question. You have a recreation field. Will it actually be a field?
I want to mow it. I mean, it's going to be part of that whole thing.
Okay.
My thought is kids playing soccer out there. I don't know, football, baseball, wiffle ball, frisbee. I mean, it's a good area. It's located roughly where the existing house was. So I merged 2 of these properties together. So where the Heidi and Tony Bennett's house is currently, that's kind of roughly where that rec area would be.
Thank you.
And the walking trail brings you to that as well. So, we try to tie that into the park and that.
Yep.
I think, considering it's going to be on an HOA and landscaping's taken care of, now that rec field doesn't just turn into an overgrown, I put it on the plan, but it never turned into anything. This actually holds it to what it will be.
Yeah, that's
The
good.
first that I know of.
Yeah.
Rec field like that, that's good.
A couple of things that I noticed in your plan. You've got a great landscape plan. But 2 things that I don't see are a lighting plan.
It should be on, it's right after the,
I missed it somewhere.
yep, it's right after the sign.
Oh, in the overall layout?
Yep. So you gotta zoom in on that, Laura, that's very small. I don't know if we can zoom in, but I have lighting around the park, and then I have street lights along the entire road and an uplighting. So there's that one. And we'll have lighting also at the entrance sign. And like I said, I'm not too sure on the lighting for the walking trails, because I have this envisionment of the post and rail fences. So my thought is kind of doing like under
Underlit,
LED lighting, just so that it kind of turns on at dusk in dawn timeframe, so it would be on some form of a timer. But standard street lights that you'd see in most subdivisions, obviously meeting town regulations and how much pollution for the area, and then the same thing with the park. I'm not an electrician, so the style and make and model of the light lamps that are being used, I'm kind of trusting them, so I can't answer too many questions. I know they'll be black, and I know that they'll be LED lit, so.
So on this, what are the light markers?
Yeah, so yeah, right there, that circle, and then the other one in the back. And then every one of those little blue hashtags, they're very light, like if you start where septic system A is. Perfect, so I hold it. All right, so like right here, there's a blue dash, there's another blue dash, right?
okay.
You'll see them, they are all on the left side of the road, and they go all the way up.
So those are.
Those are
like
gonna be
gooseneck
streetlights.
Streetlights? Okay. All right.
Probably the only concern with lighting are the budding properties, if they have too much light shining in their bedroom window or something.
Yeah, so my buffer between 13, 14, I want to tell you it's like 400 feet. I'd have to double check on that. But that's also pretty decently wooded in that region right there. It doesn't show on this plan, and I have no plans on touching any of that. I'd worked with those people on the Copperfield Estates when we were in here trying to go for a variance. So obviously I was very conscious of where we had actually staked out a line when I was working with them on that. And I honestly tried to kind of hold to that still, just because, you know, I'm not looking to have a butter issues.
Right, yeah, that's best thing you come in with, peace made with your butters and it sails right through.
Yeah.
But Art, don't we always request downcast?
Yes, that's
Anyway,
part of the
so-
town requirement.
And my electrician worked with the town to make sure that we were following within those things, so.
Okay.
And there's so many lumens at the periphery anyway, so that's what all those numbers are there.
So the other thing that I was looking for is a signage plan. I do see where you included a picture of the sign, but it doesn't include dimensions.
I'm open to recommendations on that, to be honest with you. I was figuring probably 5 feet wide. You know, I wanted it to be off the ground. I'm gonna berm up. If you see the landscaping plan on the page before the sign, you can obviously see that it's kind of like, you know, an oval shaped thing. I wanna berm that up and plant it. So if I had to guess, the berm will be up about 18, 19 inches. And then the sign itself, I mean, if I had to guess off the top of my head, it would probably be about 5 feet tall. And I'd
there's
say
actually-
5 feet wide would be a pretty safe number.
There's a town regulation that restricts the size of the sign.
Okay,
So, we just need, when you come back to us, we just want your finished dimensions to show that they are in compliance with town regulation.
okay.
I know on a lot of the commercial sites with the signage, we look for a stone base of some sort.
Yep. We do like to see monument-type signage with like a stone base around the bottom. That's not so much regulation as recommendation from us.
It's gonna be lit within.
Yeah, that was the other, so this is a metal sign, so it can't be backlit. But what did you have for plans on lighting this
I was planning
sign?
on doing uplighting.
Uplighting?
Yeah.
We don't do up.
I'll follow whatever. I didn't dive into the sign requirements. I will tell you that was one thing that did slip, I guess, the details in here. But whatever they are, you know,
Yeah,
we'll
we
work,
do
we'll
down.
work with.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so dark sky compliant still even for the signage, so,
Okay.
you know, typically people like to do kind of the metal posts up top where the light kind of shines down on the sign rather than up.
Gooseneck light that shines down
Okay,
on it.
yeah.
I don't see a landscape plan, pardon me, not plan, but schedule for the plant types.
It's in there. It's L02. And it's right in the middle on the right side of the page. It's super, yeah, I was gonna say it's real small.
Well, is it the one I would be asking about there?
Yeah, there are lilacs in there.
Syringa vulgaris.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so there's
I
a
saw
couple
it.
Japanese lilacs and there's also a Korean lilac listed in there.
Does the HOA allow for photovoltaic or hot water panels on the roof?
I would have no issues with solar panels on the roof. It would be something that my buyer would have to pay for, it wouldn't be a standard.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm all for, like I said, someone making their house theirs. I mean, I would think that they would wanna have it facing south facing. If you're facing the property from Young Road, you're facing west. So I think only literally the houses that would be along 102, their backyards and maybe the front, I don't think you'll see too many people do it in the front yards from what I've seen people do with solar panels. But I guess the homes that would be,
But the HOA is not going to restrict it.
no. No. Unless it's a recommendation, it's not something that we're, for or against, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably only when people have moved in there and then all of a sudden there'll be someone who might object to it, so that'd be the homeowners
Yep,
association
correct.
to take care of.
I think the direction that the country's moving and the world's moving, I think you're gonna start seeing a lot more of those things be a lot more prevalent. So obviously, we offer these types of things, whether people do it or not, because the cost is pretty extensive, but I mean, every one of you guys have seen your electric bills, so, if it's something like it's your first home and you're planning on being there for, call it 15 years, then, it's usually about a break even, I think, on about 8 years at this point.
Fireplace, chimneys, that kind of
Yep.
stuff?
No chimneys. I mean, if someone wanted to do a chimney, we're not gonna do any wood burning stoves. They'd be on, I'm tapping into natural gas, so I would say that we'll have natural gas, fireplaces that would just be on a switch. But yeah, they'll go out like the side of the building. If you look at my back elevations, yeah, so yeah, you can see it on the back elevation. So this one is right on the rear elevation in the back. It would be between those two back windows on the family room.
So where is the exhaust coming out from the gas?
Yeah, it would be coming out right there.
Oh, okay. You're not gonna pipe it up any place.
Nope. The recreation field is kind of unique. Can you light that up at all, or?
I was concerned about the pollution of the neighbors. That was my only thought on not doing that. I mean, I don't want to be going to put it in like a baseball field lighting, but, I could envision lights out there, especially this time of year. The kids get home and it seems like it's just pitch black right away. But then again, what happens, the cold starts happening and how many people are outside as much as possible. But, come the springtime when the days are a little bit longer in the summer times, I envision that to be, loud.
Is the garage door a single panel?
No, there'll be two individuals. We could do one single. I show it as one, but I think that would be two separate doors. And if you go through the building materials, we offer, our standard is a gallery style cold play door, either long or short panel. Like I said, with the grids, I try to kind of keep it uniform with the doors and the windows on the house, or at least encourage my buyers to do that. But we also offer a Coachman and a Canyon series that are just a lot more expensive, to be honest, as an upgrade. So most people don't go with them, but you never know. Someone wants to have a real, true farmhouse style look, then, we provide those options.
Getting away from what we okay, isn't it? It's kind of nice. Think we do it?
For the garage door?
Or whatever, he just said, if somebody wants this and that.
Well, again, the thing is, they're all individual houses, so. I think that's probably gonna be more up to the HOA to dictate all those things. I noticed on the right elevation of the house, you have one window that's kind of like mid-level. Is there like a stairwell there or something?
Yeah,
Okay,
yep.
I was just curious about that. Do you know if on the property, there's any existing rock walls anywhere in there?
Not that I can remember, a lot of them to the, if you go back to the site plan or of the landscaping plan, like back of like 9 and like the 12 area, I think that there's some in that region, but that's, I'm not looking to touch any of that area. I tried to stay away from the gas line as much as possible. So that's where I recall there being rock walls. But any rock walls that we would touch, we understand, you know, the importance of them in town and anything that if we'd had to disturb. But where we are building, there aren't any.
Okay. So you're gonna leave any rock walls you find, with the exception of if they're anywhere you're building, you're gonna reuse them somewhere.
Correct, and we discussed this with conservation, we were there 2 weeks ago, and maybe even use them on the entrance sign or something like that, if there's, you know, stuff that has to be moved.
Okay.
On each building, behind the building, is that a septic system where you have a small little rectangle and then a line that goes down to a larger rectangle?
Yep, so if you start behind number 1, these are gonna be shared septic systems.
Okay.
And there'll be one behind, directly behind number 2.
Yeah.
There'll be one directly behind number 5, number 8, number 10, number 15, number 16. Yes, that's it.
My final comment is, you know, this is a great presentation. I've actually had the opportunity to visit some of this gentleman's property, and it certainly meets my standards. He does, I mean, from what I see, it's quality work. So, I don't have a problem with this at all.
It's a very good presentation of your product. I think it helps people, and it gives them a choice also. You know, it's,
Now, just pure curiosity, where are they all gonna come out to? Would it be 102 or Young?
No, Young Road, I was encouraged when we originally started with this project about almost 2 years ago at this point. John, when I met with staff, John had recommended, you know, that when we were going through the rezoning process, that, you know, coming out on a 102 just really wasn't gonna be highly encouraged. So, instead of trying to fight an uphill battle, I made a deal with the people next door, and we've since purchased that property, and we feel that coming out on Young Road is a lot more of for safety reasons. We've done a traffic study. Even when we did a traffic study, when we were proposing 55 homes, there was no issue. So at 21 homes.
Just curious.
traffic-wise, a busy area anyway. So
It is.
it's, we have to go through the whole traffic study. I mean, and it impacts the state highway, so the state's involved also.
We're also in design review right now, so we're expecting, I think, feedback within the next couple of weeks.
On the cover, what does 261 degree W?
It's so the entrance. If you're facing, if you have if you have your compass in front of you, right at that Young Road entrance, that's the coordinates.
Oh,
I don't know if I'm gonna use it. It was just, they call it tacky. I think on the sign, I'd like to keep at least the 42 north and the 71 west. I don't think I'll add the 261. It was nothing more than a cup.
It'll be for the geeks, you know.
Sometimes I worry about, I guess, stupid things.
Yeah, but you paid for it.
Yeah, well, my visions aren't always accepted by others, so, you know, I'm always open to whatever the majority thinks.
Any further comments or questions? All right, so the only thing, yeah, everything looks to be pretty good. The only thing that I saw in there was the signage plan. Because that's more of a planning function, you've already got the design in there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna approve as submitted with the stipulation that your signage meets town regulations.
Perfect.
And a suggestion that you do a monument-type sign.
Yep. Also fine with that.
Okay.
We want the entrance of the subdivision to be, you know, an eye catcher, if you will.
And lighting will be goes down.
The lighting, yeah, so the lighting, I'll make a note of that as well. Lighting must be dark sky compliant.
Yep.
So do I make a motion to move our recommendation to the planning board?
Yes, sir. Can I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Colglazier. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Plan approved as submitted.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, next item on our agenda is application for design review of a site plan for a proposed 100,000 square foot warehouse building and associated site improvement at 26 Jacks Bridge Road. Charles Evans, owner, and Rhino Capital Advisors LLC applicant.
You have the PowerPoint.
Yep, I have that. You can do the PowerPoint.
Yeah, we get the tutorial. Concom, so. Should we start? Hello, everyone. This is our first time here, so I'll just do a brief introduction. My name is Michael Kavanaugh with Rhino Capital Advisors. We are a Boston-based developer specializing in industrial assets, primarily south of Boston, to New Hampshire. So this one and Page Road are our first two in this area. So on these projects, we're working with VHB and RPA out of Nashua, New Hampshire, as the architect. They unfortunately couldn't make it today, so I will do my best to run you through the design. So I think we'll start off with having Dave run through the site plan, and then we'll go more into the actual building design.
Great, thanks. So just for a little bit of reference, you can see 93 there in Rockingham Boulevard. It's very close to the other topics you were looking at tonight, but that stars where we are on Jack's Bridge. If you just go to the next slide. So this is an existing site. It's previously disturbed, a lot of earth movement, I think really just prepped by the owner for future sale. There's an existing cell tower on there. You can see the shadow of it, but it's right up here. There's some stormwater that's been placed on site for sediment control for the activities they've had out there so far.
Are they through all the excavation work that's going on at this point?
Yeah, up to this point, yeah. Yeah, there's no more
No
work
more
to be done
activity?
there. Yes.
Okay.
And then what we're looking at for a proposed condition here is a new 100,000 square foot building, a warehouse building. Oh, thank you. So we have 100 parking spaces, 100,000 square foot building, 24 loading spaces in the back. There's entrance for circulation for the trucks and an entrance for the employee parking. And then there's an existing entrance over here that will help circulate the traffic all the way around for the trucks. And then there's access to the town sewer in the back. As part of the site plan package, we have our planting plan. Really, the intent was to incorporate local trees, not have any invasive species, and really just to just sort of break up sort of the green space and the parking area with new trees. And, you know, as we move forward, there'd probably be some low-level bushes and things like that, but we wanted to focus on the trees at this time. From a site lighting standpoint, we have LED lights that will light the parking areas and the loading area. Included the cut sheet in the package that shows these LED lights. They're about 20 feet high from mounting height, and we're, you know, pointing everything in towards the parking area so there's no spill onto the abutting properties.
Question. Is this one whole warehouse, or is this broken up?
It's just one.
Like condo, it's one?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I think I'll let Mike just get in a little bit into the architectural design.
Sure. So this is a tilt-up building. So those are concrete panels that you'll see painted. So the colors are the earth tone grays, natural colors. The two darker columns, if I can just point here and here, there. Those will be textured. It's a form-lined when they do the form for the panel. So it'll have a little bit of a texture on it. This band right over the canopy will also have a little bit of a texture we're envisioning like a stucco, sort of rough concrete style finish there. Storefront entry right there, that's where the employees will go in. So just slide to the elevations. So front elevations on the bottom, back is the top elevation. So entry doors are installed per the fire code. Our roof is sloped, TPO rubber roof. It all pitches back to the truck court to these scuppers. You can kind of see them there. And then overflow tanks, and then it'll go down into a retention tank underground. So, and then next, these are this flip the opposite side, so that's the sides. And then here's all four elevation. Those are our color palette to the right. Like I said, that's just painted on concrete. So I think those are Sherman-Williams colors there. So any questions on these? I think that's our last slide on the design. Oh yeah, so this is where we pulled these colors from, the natural earth tones, the textured concrete and the stucco to try to have more of that industrial park feel that's highlighted in the lookbook.
So you're going for underground detention?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
If anyone's curious, if you go to Salem at Industrial Drive, Dacon's doing a large warehouse, and it's all tilt-up concrete construction, and they're actually doing underground detention now. It's pretty interesting. So if anyone's in the area, if you really want to see, the colors are different, but that's the type of construction that we're talking about. And I think they did a handsome job on that one.
Any questions on this one? We kind of went through it pretty quickly, but
Yeah, it looks like a nice building, clean design, it's industrial, so it fits in.
yeah, there's not as many intricate details as the housing ones you were just looking at, so it's.
You guys have signage on property?
We haven't really thought of the signage yet because we don't have a tenant. So this is all spec. Once we have a tenant, then we'll finalize that. And I believe that's a separate permitting process, correct? So
Signage?
Yeah.
It is. You'll
It-
apply for a sign permit, but it's also part of the site plan as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're showing,
Yeah,
the anticipation is to have wall signage and then potentially a
A
small
monument
monument
sign.
sign.
Yeah.
similar For wayfinding.
yeah. But like you said, it would just be, it's a single tenant, so wouldn't be very big.
Looking for purple lilac on the landscaping plan.
Give them.
Is it hidden someplace?
I don't think you guys included the schedule for the small bushes and stuff in there, did you?
On
No, just,
this,
trees.
yeah, I don't,
Evergreen trees, deciduous
Maple
trees
and
is,
heritage birch,
Yeah, I was gonna say, they focused on trees, but didn't really
Yeah.
get down to the
evergreen trees. but
flowers and
there's
shrubbery.
no seed mixture, but nothing about bushes.
Not on the schedule.
So Syringa vulgaris is one that we like to see.
purple lilac is the state flower.
Trademark.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's much, I think that lot's pretty well flat. I mean, the
Yeah, where I
electrical
recall, yeah,
company
it-
has a bunch of the timbers that they use to cross over the wetland for putting in those new poles.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some Jersey berries up there, but pretty much I think that's, I don't think there's much more to take down.
right. Yeah, the stuff that's there now, like you said, is the timber and,
I think this is a great addition to our tax base. Not only one building
Definitely.
they're looking at two.
Yes, because the, there's
pretty
gonna be
good,
twin
wasn't it?
buildings.
yeah.
Yeah, we can give when we switch to Page Road, we'll give the same exact presentation.
Well,
It's a
yeah.
smaller building.
A little bit different, but yeah, more or less the same. So if you want, we
Have
can,
the ability to add solar panels to the roof if your client wants them.
that is the intent, yeah. So the way we design it structurally, it's solar ready. So it has that optionality. Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else on Jack's?
The only thing I noted was, we would request a return to submit a signage plan once your tenant is established.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any further questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, otherwise approved as submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you back.
Yeah.
You're gonna see us right now for Page Road.
Oh, that quick, huh?
All right, next item on the agenda is an application for design review of a site plan for a proposed 100,000 square foot warehouse building and associated site improvements at 13 Page Road. Charles Evans, owner, and Rhino Capital Advisors LLC applicant.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Kavanaugh. applicant. So 13 Page Road. We'll do the same. So yeah,
I'll
if you want to just run through
Yeah,
the site.
again, we're able to use the same map too for where we're at, but here was the Jacks Bridge.
Yeah.
And Page Road is off Rockingham.
So can I ask you a question? And when you go onto Page Road, is it on the left
It's gonna be
side?
on the left
The left.
side.
It's on the left side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you'll see it here too. This is another site that, same owner.
Yeah.
Already cleared it out. We have a good benefit of, protected wetlands around the perimeter, so all these trees are gonna stay. We're really just focusing in this disturbed area. Another one that has an existing stormwater feature on site, but we'll get into it, but it's, again, this same 75,000 square foot building. We're gonna be collecting, again, going to subsurface for the treatment, get to utilize the pond that's there for detention, so really helping us out to keep this footprint as small as possible for our disturbance. We'll have the single entrance off of Page Road that matches the existing one that's out there now. And the parking, again, kind of relates to the size of the building, so we have 75 spaces and 18 loading spaces in the back. I'm pretty sure it's the same plant schedule, so we'll take into account some of the comments you had, and
The lilacs.
again, I think the,
Lilacs.
And I think the intent is, as we showed, to meet the town requirements for the trees, we put that on there, but there are thoughts and plans related to bushes as we get into the construction documents.
Question, guys. Okay. Page Road is an interesting road. Do we have residents past that? I mean, if you've driven down there and
They are,
looked at that
yep.
area. So all I ask is that you take a real close look at the entrance.
Yes.
Because you have residential people going back and forth every day.
Yeah.
So I'd appreciate that.
We're working with the DPW and talks about improving the road there and improving the width and things like that.
Correct. Yeah, because there is utility work associated with this site specifically, bringing water, sewer, gas up that road of Page. So I'm sure that's going to be,
appreciate it.
taken into account.
Yeah, it's definitely a sensitive area because we have, residential, in the southern part of it, and then it's more industrial. So there's certain sensitivities we respect of the residences that still live there.
Yeah.
I'm sure eventually it'll all probably become industrial at some point in time, but in the meantime, there's that kind of a clash,
Yeah.
a zoning clash. And some people will tolerate it, some will sell out. That's what's happened. Some people have sold, and
Yeah.
And I think this was one we talked about where the benefit of, quite a bit of tree coverage between the road. So it should be tucked back there a little bit, but
Yeah.
understanding the sensitivity of the neighborhood.
Yeah, and our neighbor directly next to us is Tri-State Sprinkler. And then the houses are a little bit further down, so. But to your point, they do use this road, so.
And lighting, same situation, having the poles on the outside pointing in, the LEDs, and really minimizing any of the light spill. And again, understanding the sensitivity for the residents and having the tree buffer and being able to direct the light towards the parking lot to really minimize or eliminate any spill into the abutting lots. Again, this building's a little different. So.
A little bit different. So this one's metal panel.
Oh, it's metal?
Metal panel, yeah. This one a little bit smaller. So as of right now, we're proposing metal panel.
For the whole building?
For the whole building, yeah. Insulated metal panel. There's this color palette. There's three. There's the white, the gray, and then you'll see the darker color along the very top, and then at the canopy here. So this is storefront, same thing. Same idea as Jack's Bridge. That would be the entry for the employees.
Where will the white go?
What's that, I'm sorry?
Where would the color white go? Where it's shown?
Yeah, where it's shown, yep.
Is it like a mellow white?
It's, I forget the
The only
name.
reason why I say that is because we have residential, it's going back and forth.
With the white. Yeah,
I just think maybe it would be worth taking a look at it and considering toning the white down.
yeah. More of like an off-white or a lighter gray or something, yeah. Yeah,
does the canopy offer shelter for, people down below, or people going in and out at all?
yes,
Or-
yep.
Okay, so it's just not a design thing, it goes.
Correct, yeah, that's an actual overhang, yep. Oops, sorry. Go back to that. Oh, yeah, you might be able to see it. You can kind of see it down here. But, yeah. Yeah, there would be an overhang for a little bit of coverage. To your point about the white, I know it's showing full height over this area. We tried to break it up with the gray over here just so so nobody was kicking it or snow hitting it and getting it all dinged up and dirty. But that's a good point about the colors there.
Right. And that view that we're showing right there is basically the view corridor from the street with the
Exactly.
trees on either side.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Looking essentially, yeah, right where the entry is there. So these are the front and back. Again, same idea with the drainage pitch going back to the truck court down into the retention tank in the back area there, and then it'll drain out. So flat roof, TPO, same thing.
The slope to the roof. like in the other building.
Yeah, yeah, we'll pitch. You can see it. This
The
little
dotted line.
dotted line there, yeah, pitching back that way. That's it. And then here's the other elevation. Yeah, you can really see it right there.
Yeah, I know some of the canopies look pretty, in the wintertime when the snow collects on there and it starts to melt, drops down on, water drops down on everyone going in and out or underneath there. And sometimes the snow falls down too.
Yes, so typically we'll
I
put,
think Hannaford had some problems with that, which they,
just getting it trapped up there, is that?
yes, it'll stay there, it'll collect there, and then when it comes time to melt, it drops on everyone, so.
So
They
for-
rectified that once the customer started complaining.
Yeah, yeah, so typically with a canopy like that, we'll put, there'll be a drain there with some heat tape, so it'll melt it and then drain back in and then go back into the
Oh, okay.
system. So yeah, to avoid that same situation, so.
Smart thinking.
Yeah. And that's all 4 elevations there. And there's the color palette, yeah, the 3 colors. So it's a polar white. So I haven't seen a sample of it, how white it is
Imagine
actually.
polar
It
white.
could be, yeah.
It's like
It does sound very
white.
white, so. Polar white, I don't know how much
Sun hits
whiter
it,
you can get.
blinded.
But yeah, same thing. Those colors derive from the lookbook with the earth tones, grays, snow white. It's a very earthy color.
I really love the way that you guys actually reference the lookbook stuff
Yeah.
right here. That's
That is,
good stuff.
it helps us immensely.
That's the first one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the
Yes, it
first
also
time I've
shows that
seen
you
that.
actually looked at it. so-
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Not only shows you looked at it, but you looked at it
Exactly.
intensely enough to actually reference it. That's,
I think you can thank Laura. I think she's the one who sent it to us.
Thank you,
Sure
Laura.
did, yeah.
Thank you,
But even
Laura.
with that, we're
Thank you,
saying,
Laura.
maybe change the white.
Yeah.
Won't be seen.
Do you have options on the metal panel?
You do, yeah, yeah. I actually, it's a bunch of colors. I had a feeling color question would come up, so I printed out, like, yeah, there's a whole sheet of different colors.
It's the name of the manufacturer.
This one's Metal Span. It's a direct competitor to Kingspan. You may have be familiar with.
Yep.
But
Cool.
same
Understood.
same thing. Yeah, these will be ribbed, so there'd be a little bit of a texture to them. But
same thing here as the last one. You don't have a current tenant.
exactly, yeah.
Okay, so I just made the same note. Must return to submit signage plan once tenant is established.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Right, otherwise approved as submitted.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All
That
right,
wasn't too bad, was it?
Trying to make it quick for you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
your first time, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah, yeah, you have to train the other people coming in.
Yeah.
So these are specs, huh?
Specs, yeah, we're trying to get somebody in there.
Oh, I get it.
Some interest, but nobody yet, so.
How high are the ceilings?
Jack's is 36.
Is it,
clear height.
so you're high,
Um,
you're high.
Page Road is 34. But it's weird, some people want them as high as you can get, some only want 26.
Yeah,
so it's,
yeah.
You gotta find a happy medium. It's tough
I
when
get
it's
it.
on spec, so, especially with the parking.
Since everyone did their fancy.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Yeah, it was
guys.
nice
Yeah,
to meet
thank you.
Thank you, have a nice evening.
All right, next item on the agenda is an application for design review of a site plan for the proposed construction of a 6,000 square foot convenience store with drive-through and gas station with 16 fueling stations and 2 diesel fueling stations in the Route 28 Performance Overlay District at 174 Rockingham Road. 2V Londonderry LLC and 2V Londonderry West LLC owners and New Sunset Realty applicant. This is a follow-up review from our September meeting on signage only.
Just let them know that's what we're doing. I'm just being emailed a PDF.
Okay.
I'm gonna
I
run
brought
upstairs.
boards, but I was so impressed by everything else, so if you don't mind waiting while she
Sure.
receives them, but if not, we'll go
You
old
can,
school.
you can start and then I'll be right back.
You know what, it won't
We'll have to,
What's that?
let the electronics take over, I guess.
Yeah.
It's time for a break.
She made me take it.
So what were they using?
It's for the agenda, I said.
Yeah.
that.
I haven't either. First for me.
I have to give it a try. Come such a long way.
No. You'd think after 30 years that would. You said you interned for David.
Yeah, so, I grew up in Salem. So, I did a couple internships doing survey, and then before my senior year, I interviewed with, Gordon. Yeah, and they brought me on for the summer, and then I stayed on through my senior year, and I was working with Dave and still doing some field work. And then, come around to spring semester, everyone's trying to get a job. And Gordon kept saying, yeah, we're gonna bring you on, we're gonna bring you on. I was like, Gordon, like, I'm gonna be behind the ball, like, we gotta do something here. So he ended up, he didn't have the bandwidth, so they sent me to Watertown. But then I was like, just a number down there. And I didn't feel the path forward as much.
Was David up in Bedford?
He had just kind of landed up here, yeah.
I've seen him a lot lately, or not seen him, but they've been doing a lot more site work than they have in a long time. Gordon really, since the Stop and Shop stuff, he kind of dropped off.
Yeah, yeah. So they brought Dave up basically, and he got some tutelage from Gordon for a few years, and then he became director of LD.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I wasn't super happy in Watertown, so I did a high school internship with him and graduated with his son. I could roll out of bed and put on Styles Road at his office, so it was like a no-brainer. And I spent like 8 years with Frank. So I got the chance to work for a client. Then went to another client, then came back to Noria. Now I'm settled, I feel good. So I'd get on this side.
The signs we stick on the sides of the road.
Chris, will I see you at the banquet tomorrow?
Yes, you will. Sure will.
But now I have to try and
Giovanni's.
be.
Giovanni's is food.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And she said,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
"Sit down within a week or
Cool.
so, you're good." I said, oh, I put
I
them.
love that place. I go there all the time.
Keep a nice little list of where we put them. She said, the only thing is, if you're
Does
going.
your daughter do spring track as well?
Historic
She does.
commission stuff, you
I
gotta
keep,
go to
you know,
Craig. I
this
said,
kid
well,
drives
I
me
won't
nuts
because
because
I
I'm
did,
like,
but I'm on
she
Heritage,
runs
but-
cross
So I
country
hadn't put it,
all season long,
up and down.
and then she goes into
Never
track
Road,
and she does throwing.
basically. And we put them in
I'm
front of the
like,
schools this
What
year.
are you doing?
We put 'em-
Like, if you
Beautiful
do
Londonderry
the
when we
1600 and
farm.
3200 meter, you can keep your running, or just pick one and then throw. Like, she just stops running all season long, and then when she starts up invariably doing cross country again, she's like out of shape,
Right,
killing herself trying to catch up to everybody else, and I'm like, if you stuck with it through track, you know, you would be ready by the time it came back around. She cannot self-motivate, you know, when the team is doing it, she's out there with them and it's not a problem, but
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think I might have her talked into doing the 1 mile. this year, so she'll do this. She's a sophomore. Yeah. So she's got a couple more years to develop the drive, I guess, to push herself. The other thing I keep trying to tell her to do is hook up with the other kids to go on runs,
The
you know,
boys
in the
are
off
still
season.
running together.
Those kids are nuts. They run the length of High Range. I live on High Range Road. I see them out there running up and down the road all the time. Whole group of them who just go trucking past any off season on their own.
Yeah, like, wait, you still want to practice?
I know,
Like, what are
right?
you really doing after school?
Yeah, that's, on the one hand, I understand my daughter's mentality when it comes to that. She's like, yeah, those guys wanna go for like a 5-mile run on a Saturday morning.
Anyway, you don't have to worry
You know,
about
like,
all the yellow
Got
signs.
that
We
runner's
take care of
high
it.
Yeah,
module going.
apparently.
Yeah.
The mattress one, and
Better things to do than a 5-mile run in the morning.
Exactly, yeah. Those kids, I'll see them out at like 7:30 on a Saturday. Whole group of them, a gaggle of boys just run by my house. I'm like, good for them. I mean,
Yeah, wait till they get our age. Oh, yeah, half-mile walk, that's enough.
You gotta go
in
get
the
mail,
afternoon.
So what part of High Range Road is?
You probably know exactly where I live, actually. So there's a housing development up there. It's called,
Why the hell would you make comments if it has no bearing on
oh man, brain cramp.
it?
There's like 10 houses that just went in there, all on like
Oh,
2 acres each.
Rayburn?
Rayburn, right.
Oh.
So, right across the street, there's a house where there's been like a bunch of construction for the past year. It was all green,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
for a while. That's my house.
Oh,
So we just finished, there's a big rock wall out front now.
wow.
Change it, they want you to
I think it looks nice. We keep tabs of improvements and everything.
I just saw that recently, the Brayburn sign.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, John Farrell's daughter and husband live up there now. Goldstein, I think is his
Yep.
last name.
But it won't make any difference. so
Yep.
don't worry about it.
And then, who is it? Somebody else has one of their children that just moved in over there. I think it might be Don Bolduc.
Oh,
Yeah. There's notable people across the street from me now.
yeah, yeah, that's one of the high points in town, because the planes, when they come in for landing,
Yeah. it's
have to
just
come in close. because
Oh, I know.
the,
I know. Although, actually, I
Even
gotta
though
say,
they do come right over my house or practically over my house.
they're low
Yeah,
coming over
yeah.
my house. You know, you can like read the serial number on the bottom and stuff. They're
Yeah.
close. But,
I was told if you can see the call numbers, they're too low.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm right in the landing path. They're like coming in on their final approach when they're over my house.
yeah.
You know,
think
but
you can.
people come over and they're always like, how do you deal with this? And I'm like,
I haven't
"Doing
seen
what?"
it work.
Like, I don't even,
Yeah,
I don't notice it.
used
for
to
a
it.
Down there and try it, but I
My
don't know.
wife doesn't.
But if not, just ask me.
Care for it, but, yeah, I tell them, you know, people, we got a great plane spotters location.
All right, gentlemen,
Thank
go
you.
for it.
Good evening. Patrick McLaughlin with No Energy, the applicant this evening. Jeff Cavan from TF Moran with me as well. I know the notice does say signage only. I did want to just quickly give you guys an update that since the last time you saw architecture, all the building materials are the same. What I would note is that we did change I don't know, I'm going to try and do this. I don't know if I can. We changed, these were full hip roofs coming up before. And we actually added these gables, which really is, I mean, it's, in our opinion, a great improvement. We hope you guys feel the same way. We think this
Yeah, it
building's really
softens the
come a
building.
long way.
It's actually a lot more in line with what we typically see, the stuff in the lookbook, so.
Yeah, yeah, so we're, you know, like I said, I'm glad to hear you guys say that. We thought that that's an improvement. And so as we've been trying to finalize this thing, so I just wanted to touch on that quickly. You know, the signage that we are here for, 99% of it has been represented on the renderings that you have all seen through the different iterations. You know, there are some, I'll go through the list of relief that we're going to go to the ZBA with. But for intent in terms of what you folks have seen before, it's all consistent. So we have a few things, and you know, first and foremost, the canopy signage, right? So we have 2 canopies on this proposal because we have this one here, which is, I'll call this our retail fueling canopy, which is out front at the intersection, and
Diesel out back.
diesel out back, right? So there'll be a slide that shows that. But each of the canopies proposes 2 signs, none of which are allowed. So that's a point of relief that we will endeavor with the ZBA. The Noria sign above the front entry is allowed by right, along with the Amato's co-tenant sign on the left front. What we would need relief for on this front side of the building is that we're showing an additional Noria, Cafe Noria over here to help designate, once you're on site, that this is the side where the drive-through starts. We have that same sign facing, this is the, help me out, what is? Yeah, it's Rockingham Road, but I was trying to go geographically. Was that south? That's the southern face facing Rockingham. That's allowed by right as well, so, but it's basically a duplication of that sign on the far end as well. So again, on the front face, this is the only thing that's not allowed by right. If you added this sign, this one, and this sign here, so the 4 building signs that are seen in this view, they stay under the total, which is 100 square feet divided up on the 2 frontages. It happens to come in right at 99, so those, from that point of view, are compliant, but we have the one additional. Can we see if we can jump a couple of slides and find that back of the building? I think we're gonna find a couple that are zoomed in closer, yeah, we'll just keep going. See, so you can see there that Cafe Cup was at the drive-through start, right? So that's why the intent of that one was added. And we'll see what the ZBA's feedback is on that. So yeah, if we go to the next one, that'll jump to the back. And I wasn't at the previous meetings that you've had with some of my coworkers, but I'm pretty well filled in. This tower was added some point along the way to identify us from Rockingham Road travelers heading towards the highway, but also to break up this facade so it doesn't look like the plain back of a building. Because although it's not, facing the frontage, it does have, a vantage point as you're making that approach headed towards the highway. So that Noria sign is it's non-compliant in that it's not on a building that faces a frontage. So we would need a variance for the location of that. That also then, that's the building sign that puts the total building sign over on square footage, if that makes sense, but we wouldn't be if we weren't asking for it as an additional, so those kind of go one and the same. And then, back here, this is where we see the 2 signs on the diesel, one identifying Noria facing the frontage and one identifying diesel for the trucks that are about to pull underneath it. And so again, those are above and beyond, those aren't allowed by the ordinance, so. Then actually, if we can jump back to, I think the first one that captures the freestanding sign. So the freestanding sign has always been proposed out close to the intersection, as is typical. I think when you guys saw this last in the foreground here of a rendering, you would have probably seen the bottom of this enclosed with essentially like another white solid panel to, I think, complete the intent of the monument sign look. When we studied that more, we just felt like, we're going to that board for height and square footage based on this proposal. So in our mind, from our point of view, the open base aesthetically looked better than keeping that panel closed there. So seeing that we're going to visit them to address this sign anyways, that was our intent with starting with this. The height, the site does sit slightly below the road. Jeff made sure to let me know that it's not too much below the road, but the height does help this sign get up to an elevation that's a little bit more appropriate to the intersection grade, because the right-of-way is kind of wide here, and it will be gently sloping down until you get to this front fuel forecourt. So that's part of the reasoning for the additional height, and then the height's generated by the fact that these
these price panels, which are pretty industry standard. By the time you advertise the products that you have and the fact that you have a rewards discount, which I laughed at this when I saw it, because that top panel is for our rewards members, so it should be 5 or 10 cents lower than the one below it, and graphically, we're just showing them all the same, but, so that's how we end up at the square footage and height that we have, just because by the time you add these panels up, you end up with more than the 10-foot height anyways, so, this is where we're at. Like I said, all the palettes of colors are the same. The brands haven't changed. The Samatos has been with us all along, so I'm sure you saw some renderings with their imagery on there. We really feel like the white ID sign's very clean. We've executed this at a couple of projects in the past couple of years, and we really think it comes out nice and clean, like I said. So. That's what we have for you guys. We understand we have a road ahead of us with the ZBA, but that we needed to come before you as well.
Did I mention to get rid of that green or change it?
Yeah, we brought that up a couple of times.
Oh, good, okay.
And we haven't been to planning board yet, so we, just to let you know where we are in the process, we have filed, we've gone through, what do we call it? Design review. We've received review comments and just submitted response to comments to stay on track for December.
I'll have to look,
Yeah, for whatever we just made the deadline for is the upcoming planning board meeting. So we haven't been before that board yet, but that is our intent and next step. So we're, starting to work on this variance stuff outside of the site plan review process.
So it'll probably be the December 7th meeting.
They just submitted on Thursday, but there was a question as to whether or not that was going to be a formal application or another round of design review. I'm not sure if Kelly clarified that with you. or
Kelly
not.
did. It is formal.
It is formal, okay. So that would be for the December 7th meeting.
No, that's.
Oh, okay.
Something then.
We have other things too, yes. Well, the busy first meeting in December.
Yeah, Laura, I don't actually have my comments from the last meeting. This one is actually from the
Right.
January
I
of
put the meeting
2020
minutes in there,
meeting. Oh, okay.
so you do have,
I think while you
Oh.
flip, I just want to identify one more thing on my list here. So those digits that I talked about are changeable copy. So that's also another point of relief that we need from the board, which there are some fueling stations in town that have those.
I'm curious, what's the drive up for?
The drive-through?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll have coffee and some sandwich service.
No, what brand, any certain, or just?
Yeah, that Amato's is that's a sandwich and pizza brand local to Maine. And we've partnered with them quite a bit. And so they're expanding southward as we find some spots that they can come with us. So, yeah, and our Cafe Noria Coffee will go out that window as well.
So is that building material, the, whatever it is, the brick or stone or whatever?
Yeah,
Is
actually,
that very monolithic?
there's a,
Just curious.
I think maybe the last page has the zoom
Yeah,
on the
Because that
materials.
doesn't, yeah.
It's all the same palette, oh, maybe it's backwards then. It's all the same palette as you saw, there you go, yeah, so the main siding is the Hardy, which is the khaki brown. The front portico there at the entry is the rough sawn tobacco that you see on the right. And then, yeah, both of the front corners of the building are the brick veneer.
Cultured stone.
Yeah, you guys probably saw that in its first version as being an APHIS or essentially like a stucco look. So we've changed to this based on the input. And like I said, I didn't come to those meetings, but you probably saw our initial design, which was a flat roof building with some paneling looking. So this has come a long way, but these materials have not changed since the spring when you saw us last.
My understanding is you had approved, this was for the conditional use application, the building materials and so forth, and just took exception that signage had to go to ZBA. That's the way I recall it.
Yep. So I just read through the comments from our last meeting, and that was exactly what happened. So I think that this is just revisiting the signage, which is clearly in excess of regulation. But it'll be up to the ZBA whether or not to approve that, so. Is the sign out front, the freestanding sign, is that LCD?
LED.
It's LED?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, LED, okay.
Yep, LED digits, and then the other panels are internally illuminated. Yep. And then, only because we spent some time working on this, where the regular and diesel wording reads, apparently, the experts will tell you that blue is one of the hardest colors, I think, for the human eye to capture, or something at range or something like that. So what we learned after doing these a couple of times is the blue benefits from a white, what they call key line. So it reads a lot crisper at night due to the key line, which really just outlines the edge. You don't see the white at all, but it lets you see the blue. Yeah. So those have a key line element to them. Like I said, that was a trial and error thing that we had to modify on one of these that we did a year and a half or so ago. But those are just internally illuminated blue letters, essentially. And then it's a little tough to see on this one, but I keep hitting the wrong button. On the top, this reads regular, and then next to it in green text reads rewards. So I think that's just not represented well by the rendering. So like I said, that would be a discounted price. You see a lot of our competitors do that.
Yeah, it switches back and forth, right?
Yeah, and there's regulations by the weights and measures groups in each state that identify that, the identification of the product that you're advertising and the lettering of that has to be a certain proportion of the size of the price that you're advertising. So again, when you look at the square footage that we need to properly advertise the products that we have, this is why it goes how it goes. So that's compliant with the state weights and measures requirements.
So the rest of the white is lit up?
No, the white's not. I think, actually, if you go to page 6 of 6, that's the nighttime.
There's a dark, yeah.
Nighttime
Yeah,
light.
so the white is all dark, it's just lit for the Noria
Yeah.
side.
It's actually not lighting this is incorrect in that it's not lighting that regular diesel, regular rewards text. Those will also light, right? So you'll see internal illumination through the lettering. And maybe what they're trying to represent is that it's soft lit. But yeah, at night, the white face itself is really just being illuminated by the fact that there's light around it. Yep.
We had talked a little bit off our topic, but at one of the presentations about charging stations. Have you guys moved on those at all?
You know what?
I think here we said we would put in the conduit infrastructure to a few spots.
yeah.
But at this point, we're not proposing to
You're not.
install any at this time.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that's been one of our kind of MOs for sites throughout New England. We've put in again, this is off topic, but we have work, Mass DEP had a funding program that, we applied some sites for, and it's just, it's tough. So we're looking to find the ways to fund the infrastructure and be able to offer it. And we'd like to participate in that, because it's coming, and we want to be a part of it, but we're finding the right approach to do it.
Can I ask you a question on that, though? How long does it take to charge an electric car?
Yeah.
And you're in and out, you're in and out. Does it make sense to even put one there?
Yeah, I
You know,
learned a
someone
little.
Sitting there for an hour, 2 hours?
I learned a little bit about it. So there's like 3 different levels or
Okay.
styles, and so I went through a process at another town, for a car dealership that would be focused on electric cars, and they said, people were coming in saying, well, what we do, we plug in at night and we unplug it, and that's it. We don't, we're not looking to stop unless you start going on a trip or what have you. And then at that point, you're looking, sometimes the dealerships will, have an app and you can stop and charge at a dealership. So there's a little bit of that, but right now, you hear most people, they plug in. It's a similar, like your dryer at your house type plug-in. You plug in, you charge. That way, it's a, 12-hour or what have you charge.
Yeah.
There are places that there are high speed, but there's it's a different cost level for the equipment and whatnot to get a high speed charge.
Yeah,
And
but what's a high speed? 15
High
minutes?
speed?
Yeah, so, right.
Or is it an hour?
Well, your car has to be capable to receive the input that some of the new chargers. So it's like they both have to match up in order to actually get the juice, right? Otherwise, the car might not keep up with the charger, or the charger can't keep up with the car. So the units that we're looking at, they're called DCFC, which is DC fast charging. And yeah, if you're at
That's a quick one.
yeah, but that could be,
Most expensive.
between 15 and 40 minutes, depending on your vehicle. And so what our convenience industry as a whole is talking about is how to, what do we need for accommodations for a customer like that? So sites with food service, where you can come in, maybe sit down, get onto Wi-Fi, plug your phone in, and wait it out versus sitting in your car. But, people are creatures of habit. So some people may do that. Some people may not, because they'd be happy just in their car on their phone. So it's, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, one of the things I guess Elon Musk is doing with Tesla is looking at ways to entertain people while the car is charging, which is anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour to, well, depending upon the state of charge you want, 2 hours. So that's a whole another thing. The Tesla charging stations are their own separate thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I think it was a good article in the Wall Street Journal probably about a month ago. And one of his German charging stations, he has a swimming pool. Looking at ways to entertain people. So that's one of the things with charging stations is, what does a person do? They go, probably, like what the state is doing along the interstates, you're gonna have to probably sleep in your car or something. And then there's a whole other thing is how long, if people are waiting to get their car charged, how long do you have? What's the etiquette? You don't want to hog a charger all day.
the technology is changing, and the electric load demand is changing with it. So the other component to it is, do the sites have the right electrical infrastructure to support it?
So we got
It's a little bit of
ways to go.
everything.
Yeah, the city of Dover has, in their site plan regs, I guess, for charging stations, so the specific requirements. But I guess what, and Dover is probably like leading with, if we had any, we'd probably look at what Dover has. That's where the demand is, and a lot of the questions come in from businesses that want to provide for their employees so they can charge their cars while they're working. And then it'll be up to those individual employers for their regulations on, how long do these people take, how many do I need, that type of stuff.
Right.
So, that's probably where we would have to get involved with our site plan regs, is charging stations and the space required, and I think it would fall upon the individual, employer or owner of the charging station to allow, what's the time limit,
Well, and, I'll just wrap it up after this, but, as we think about how we want to participate in that space, you look at that, there's a canopy there for a reason, right? So it's the customer experience. Yeah, you have to get out and fill your car right now, and EV is a little bit different, but you do have to get up, interact with the touchscreen, then take the cord and plug it in, just like you take the gas nozzle now. So why shouldn't that be covered for that customer? So now think of it in that sense. If you're gonna have that facility, now you might have a canopy. The canopy's a structure. The structure needs to meet the setback requirements, right? But, so all these things get difficult in the planning world that we all participate in. So it's gonna be interesting to
it's
see how
another
we.
infrastructure type thing we're gonna have to consider at some point, so. I know the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission is doing a fair amount of work, mostly with the state on, their planning for EV stations, so I don't know the basic design, so it'll probably be whatever, I think it's probably dictated by the federal money that has been given out for this stuff, so.
Yeah, the state's targeting, a couple of major corridors and trying
Yes.
to put up some money to help initiate those.
Yeah, because I know Southern New Hampshire have been coordinating with Kelly on spots for EV stations.
Parking rides.
Park and rides are probably the best.
Oh,
But I know Derry had some at their town hall parking, and I guess they pulled them out, because one, Derry was paying for the electricity. The second thing is, cars were to be parked all night charging, and someone wanted to charge, so this, so
Well, it's a
who in town
discussion
hall is
for
gonna
another
police
day.
that?
Hey, if it's free.
Oh, God.
The whole other dimension. I think it's a wait and see thing, see what happens.
So in other words, don't invest in it yet.
No, it's just the expense. Our convenience store operators are finding the expense is just not worth it,
Yeah.
or at least at this point, so. That's
Yeah,
what the
you don't know
Journal
what the
article
demand
said.
is gonna be in any particular area either. Obviously, it's gonna be a little higher in southern New Hampshire than it would be in northern New Hampshire, where you have to drive further. There's less infrastructure to support it.
Yeah, you see the ski areas putting them in, but that's probably about it.
Shopping malls, Manchester has a couple
Oh,
out back now.
oh, yeah.
Well, if you're gonna be in the mall for a couple hours,
Rockingham Mall has them,
yeah.
but what's in the Rockingham Mall? Not much.
The closest supercharging station, which is where you get like a 15, 20-minute supercharge, is Hooksett. And we found out because my father-in-law forgot his cord to charge it at our house. We actually, and it costs about $1,000 to put that special electric plug into your garage.
Oh, to have an electrician come out and
So,
install.
and then it charges overnight. He forgot the whole cord. So,
That's something I'd
yep.
do.
But I think people don't want to go very far off the highway when they go to look for something like a charger or a supercharger.
Yeah, I think it's going to be where people park for a while. And I think it's up to that business if they want to put them in or not,
So do we approve this sign, or what are we doing?
Yeah, that's a good
Cap.
question. Yeah, I think last time what it came down to is, we approved the design. The question is just whether or not the excess signage is gonna get approved, so I
Yeah,
think.
then that's out of
as
our-
far-
Yeah,
Yeah, as
that's
far
out
as
of
us,
our jurisdiction.
we just have to pass it on with a note that it needs to be, approved by the ZBA.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, design's
Appreciate
good.
the
so.
discussion as well.
I like the diesel prices, though.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, me
What
too.
is it?
I like the gas price. Give me that gas
Oh, the
price.
gas price too, yeah.
Guys, hurry up and build, will you?
I like the old days.
Isn't that horrible?
I remember when gas was 30 cents a gallon. I'm dating myself now.
I never thought we would see sub $2 gas prices again until, what was it? 2018, I think, it went down to like 180 something.
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
was really down.
I was blown away at that price.
That's when we were producing the, shale oil and everything else.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, how come we get to pay $228 and I have to pay $423?
Oh, yeah. You got the nighttime one.
Oh,
You go
yeah.
there at night, you pay the high price.
Oh, no, I got the nighttime one at 228 too.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I think I have a different date.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you do.
I have the,
All right.
Oh, yeah, mine.
prices have gone up.
228,
I
yeah.
have the 11/16/22.
Jim's yawning.
Yeah.
Gonna lose him.
I'm sorry. For this morning.
We have staff reports next on the agenda. And we don't have any. Great. Moving on to other business.
The
Does
only,
anybody have?
I talked with Kirby, and she has the 3 reappointment requests from myself, John, and Kristen. And she's gonna be advertising, she says the council's gonna be taking it up, probably the last meeting in December. So it'll probably be December 12th.
There was one other thing I wanted to discuss.
Uh-oh.
No, it's good, though. That was the first time I've seen anyone put the lookbook in.
That's what, yeah. I love it.
So, I was saying, their design review meetings are up in that conference room. And maybe we should think about moving the lookbook onto the walls. In other words, get some pictures and mount them on the walls of different scenarios. So when these gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen come in and see, they don't have to look at the lookbook. All I have to do is look at the walls and they'll kind of get the what we're trying to achieve here.
Yeah.
Instead of the lookbook. Because how many times I haven't been in any of the design review meetings, but how many times does the developers look at the lookbook?
Yeah.
And how many times and I don't know, how many times does the building planning department say, well, look through the lookbook?
Do you?
So let's put it up on the walls, just like outside.
But I
Yeah, the
look
history.
at it once in a while, to see what we can add on, but, I feel what's there is sufficient, at least to give a flavor. If they want anything else, is
If they
take a
look at
ride
it.
around town. Yeah, if
they look
if
at
they're really looking. Because I know when the old days, when a developer, was asking you questions, I would just say, you want to get an idea of design, take a ride around town. Look where you want to put your business, look what's around there. That's
I
just-
I like the lookbook, at least because then we can control which things they see in town,
Yes.
They don't go by Bluebird Storage and say, oh, I got it.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
another one of those.
Not all our designs are what we really want, but there's definitely compromises. So that was one of them. That was, I think, 3 iterations, wasn't it, Jim, with Bluebird?
Yeah, we went
That was a
through
tough one.
couple different ones with that one.
Remember, we had to take a break?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's looking.
Yeah, I'm looking at the camera.
Whenever he fanned out those blues, and I happened to say, well, that one, but forgetting that within that fan thing, there could have been other colors. I mean, look at like Amherst and stuff has beige, and my mother remembers going by them. Oh, you have nice colors. I'm like, oh, darn it.
We did try to push them to change. Actually, we did get them to change a few things about
Yeah.
that building, but.
Yeah, we did.
All right, any other business? Okay, public input.
Yep,
We
they're
don't
lining
have
up.
any members of the
One
public.
left.
So, the only thing left on here is adjournment.
Ooh.
Would anybody
Motion to
like to make a
adjourn.
motion?
Tough one.
Art Rugg made a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Seconded by David Colzier.
Oh,
Cole
there you
Glazier,
Dave.
sorry, excuse me. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, meeting is adjourned.